Welcome to Video Clothing YouTube channel. So in this video we were taught how to cut a shirt for men. So if this is something you will be interested in learning how to make, I suggest you stick around till the end of this video. And not only that, this video will also have a continuation for the tailoring part and also the collar. For the width of the fabric required, we divided the body's measurement by 4 and added extra 3 inches for button and seam allowance to get the amount of fabric we need. After measuring the length of the shirt, we added extra 5 inches. 3 inches for overlap. You know the back of their shirt laps to the front. And then 2 inches for hem allowance. Don't forget, we are making use of the measurement we took. And that video has also been posted on the channel. So kindly go back and check the video on how to take measurement for male clients. So you can see the measurement, how the measurements we are taking, and also the measurements that we had. So you can use that to go through the video for better understanding. So once the front has been cut, we went ahead to use what we cut out for the front to cut the back. And of course, we excluded the button allowance, because for the back, there's no need for that. It was really interesting going through this tutorial for menswear, because making for men seems so easy compared to sewing female dresses. But then one unique thing about tailoring menswear is that you need to always iron, because finishing plays a major role. Finishing and fit. So when you cut and iron along the line, it makes your fabric, the lines are well outlined, and it also helps you to achieve that clean finishing. So you have it there, cutting the back part of the shirt. So right now we have the front and we have the back. So for the neckline, we measured the neck circumference. So to get the width of the neckline here, we divided the neck measurement by 6, not by 4, by 6. But of course, the length, the neck length is also, you divide the neck circumference by 4 inches. But for the width, you divide by 6. Then for the shoulder slant, we came down by 3.5 inches and connected that measurement to the neck width. If you notice, you can see that we came down, we didn't start from the tip of the fabric. We came down like ½ inch. Then you cut out the shoulder slant. And this is for both front and back. So you can see that we moved the front pattern downwards by that 3 inches before folding the 3 inches from the back, making it to overlap towards the front. Of course, you iron it down to secure the fold. It was so fun making this, honestly. So don't forget that for the neck length, we divided the neck circumference that we took by 4 inch by 4. And for the neck width, we divided still the neck circumference by 6. So whatever measurement you got, you mark it on your fabric. Now observe the way the neckline is being curved. from front to the back, like forming almost like a perfect circle. So we marked the shoulder measurements we took and added seam allowance. Now the armhole length we use for this particular client is 9 inches. So with your armhole curve, if you are not good with freehand, you can use that to connect, to curve your armhole. After that, we marked the bodice measurements we took. Of course, it's divided by 4. And also added 1 inch seam allowance. We mark the length of the shirt and hem allowance. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share our videos so a lot of people get to know about these tutorials. Feel free to ask your questions and drop your comments. It goes a long way in encouraging us to create more content for you. So now for this shirt, the hemline is not curved, and also there is no slit by the side. So if you want to make a shirt that the hemline is curved, or you want slits by the side, don't forget to factor in all that. So observe the cutting of the neckline. Now the front is cut, even though that the front and the back are placed together, you can see that it's only the front pattern that the neckline is cut, and the back is just more like nothing is coming out of it. Just a little bit less than half an inch for the back. Cut out the armhole. Though you are cutting them together here, the front and the back. But at the end of the day, we'll need to cut in for using the arm side to arm side measurement to avoid that bulge around the chest area. So to achieve that, you cut in part of the front armhole measurement. Observe the way it's being done here. So you can also apply the same. So he's cutting in the front armhole. It gives a better fit. And once that is being done, we confirm the armhole measurement, because you will be using the armhole measurement to cut the shirt sleeve. And once that is done, you're actually ready to cut the sleeve. And don't forget to watch the same video on the making of the shirt, the tailoring of the shirt, because after joining the major parts of the shirt, that the instructor now trim the neckline, use the measurement for the shirt collar. Right here, he's opening up the front. You know, the front was cut on fold, but then you need to have your button allowance. So at this point, he's opening up the button allowance and notching it as well. So you get not to exceed the button allowance. The notching is important. So once that is done, next thing we did was to fold our fabric for the sleeves. And we folded in such a way that we cut the two sleeves all at once. Wow. Like I said, it was so interesting working on this project. It made most students started thinking of, I think I want to leave women's wear and just focus on men's wear. Okay? But all the same, it's good to, it's a thing of joy to know you can do so many things. That you have a knowledge of how to make men's wear, how to make children's wear, and how to make women's wear. And all the accessories. And that's what we are about at Video Clothing. So once you have all the knowledge, you can now decide to specialize in a particular area. I mean, there's no harm in that. Don't forget that the sleeve cap will match the body's armhole. So if you don't know how to get this sleeve cap, I think we also have a video on how to draft your basic sleeve. I believe with that knowledge, you can get to know how to go about getting this S curve for the sleeve cap. And with that knowledge, even when you want to do freehand, it's so easy. But of course, I love pattern drafting because to an extent, it makes you achieve that perfection in your work. Yeah, it's not like they're always part. There are not times where you need to still make adjustments, but then it gives you the assurance that I'm not just covering an S or any other thing, but I'm so sure of what I'm doing. So for the sleeve length, we deducted 2 inches for the cuff, and of course we also add seam allowance for joining the cuff part of the sleeve back to the main sleeve. Now we measured the circumference at the wrist and added extra 1 inch. Of course, we divided the wrist circumference by 2, added extra 1 inch. Now the men's shirt, when you look at it, find out that the tip before the cuff has a little bit of pleat. So we also factor in that into the markings. We also measure the short length, which is around the elbow, and then mark the circumference, of course divided by 2, and also added seam allowance for joining. And after that, we connected the whole thing together from the wrist to the short sleeve and then to the biceps. So after cutting out the sleeve, next thing we did was to still trim the front a little bit in, just as we did for the bodies, to eliminate that excess bulge around the chest.